The high-rise conference room at Calloway Coffee headquarters buzzed with restrained chaos. At the head of the long oak table, Liam Calloway stood, his jaw tight and fists clenched on either side of his open laptop. Around him sat a dozen sharply dressed board members, but his eyes were locked on one woman, Victoria Hargrove. "We're not turning this company into a circus," Liam growled. "And I'm certainly not getting married just to keep stockholders calm." Seated with her manicured hands folded like a queen presiding over court, raised an eyebrow. "Liam, with all due respect, this isn't about your romantic preferences. This is about perception, about damage control. You know how fragile public trust is. We need a grand gesture to shift the narrative." "A grand?" Liam scoffed. "This isn't a royal wedding. I built this company from the ground up. I've worked every sleepless night for the past 7 years. Now, because of someone else's corruption scandal, you want to sell me off like some prize bull at a charity auction." "Not a charity," she said coolly, sliding a folder across the table. "A merger. With Winslow Coffee. Paige Winslow is intelligent, refined, and, importantly, her family's coffee empire is squeaky clean. A marriage between the two of you would send a powerful message." "You mean it'd distract people long enough to cover for you and the rest of the board while you clean up this mess?" Liam snapped. A few members shifted in their seats. Victoria's smile didn't waver. "It's a win-win. She elevates your image. You stabilize the company. We secure the merger. This is business, Liam." "No," he said flatly, grabbing his laptop and slamming it shut. "This is insanity." Without another word, Liam strode out of the room, his Italian leather shoes echoing down the corridor. His assistant scrambled behind him, trying to keep pace. "Where are you going, sir?" "To get some damn coffee." He shoved open the doors to the elevator, jabbing the ground floor button with more force than necessary. The glossy Calloway Coffee logo shimmered behind him as the doors closed. 10 minutes later, the scent of roasted beans and cinnamon welcomed him into Calloway's flagship cafe, the one he opened first. The one he used to mop the floors of, back before Forbes labeled him a coffee mogul to watch. He bypassed the curious glances of baristas and walked straight to his usual seat near the window. He loosened his tie and ran a hand through his thick brown hair, sighing. A cup slid across the table in front of him. "Quad shot, oat make, dash of guilt," a voice teased. "Rough morning, CEO?" Liam looked up and saw her, Maranda Ridley, the sharp-tongued, big-hearted barista who once called him a greedy bean baron in a viral video and still somehow had a job. She smirked as she set a second cup on the table. "For me, I figured you might want backup for the sulking." Liam cracked a reluctant smile. "You know, most employees don't mock their bosses to their faces." "I'm not most employees," Maranda said, sliding into the seat across from him without asking. He glanced out the window, then back at her. "Would you believe me if I said they want me to get married?" Maranda raised a brow. "Depends. Is it for love or for stock prices?" "Definitely not love." Liam grimaced. She leaned in. "Well then, Mr. CEO, sounds like you need a drink stronger than coffee. Or a better plan." Back at Calloway Coffee's sleek executive offices, the atmosphere in Victoria Hargrove's private corner suite was a stark contrast to the chaos of the earlier board meeting. The room was pristine, glass, chrome, and cold air conditioning humming softly. Victoria stood at the massive window overlooking the city, phone pressed to her ear, her reflection smiling back at her in the glass. "He didn't go for it," she said with a chuckle. Stormed out like a petulant child. On the other end of the line, Paige Winslow's smooth, confident voice replied, "He'll come around. He's proud, not stupid. If the board keeps pressuring him and public opinion continues to turn, he'll do what's expected." Victoria turned away from the window and walked toward her desk. "It has to happen soon. The auditors will eventually uncover more. Once you're married, once the Winslow name is tied to the Calloway brand, we push through the restructuring. Close the low-performing cafes, outsource production, expand overseas, double the margins." "As discussed," Paige said silkily. "My father's already working on supplier contracts. We're ready. And don't worry, Victoria. I'll keep Liam busy playing doting husband while we tighten our grip. Victoria opened a locked drawer and pulled out a thick manila folder marked confidential, internal strategy. She flipped through it slowly, scanning figures, branch performance reports, and private emails. I'll be feeding you the internal numbers as promised. By the time he realizes what's happening, he'll be nothing more than a figurehead. She smirked, a handsome one, but irrelevant all the same. I love when we're on the same page, Paige purred. Let me know when the next board session is. I'll need to start attending. Victoria hung up and placed the phone face down. She leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes for a moment, allowing herself to imagine the future, her future. One where Calloway coffee was leaner, richer, more aggressive. The way it should have always been. But across the building, nestled within the IT department's quiet floor, a pair of headphones came off with a soft click. Nathan Kim, the company's lead cybersecurity analyst, rubbed his temples as he replayed the audio file. The voice recorder planted in Victoria's office had done its job. He narrowed his eyes at the screen in front of him, his fingers hovering above the keyboard. Looks like the Queen has a coup in mind, he muttered. But not if I can help it. Later that evening, Liam sat on the couch of his best friend Dale's apartment, nursing a bottle of craft beer while sports highlights played on mute in the background. Dale, dressed in sweats and a hoodie, watched his friend pace back and forth like a caged lion. They're at it again, Liam muttered, running a hand through his hair. Trying to force me into that PR sham of a marriage with Paige Winslow. She's like champagne mixed with cyanide, polished on the outside, toxic on the inside. Dale chuckled. You always did have a way with analogies. Liam dropped into a recliner with a huff. I'm serious, Dale. Victoria practically handed me a leash and collar today. I won't do it. I'd rather walk away from the company than pretend to play house with someone I can't even have a full conversation with. Then don't, Dale said simply. You've always had options. You're just too stubborn to look at them. Like what? Liam raised a brow. I'm supposed to just find someone else to marry in the next few weeks? Dale grinned. Actually, yeah. Liam blinked. Are you being serious? Dale shrugged, sipping his beer. You know who'd be perfect? Miranda. Liam stared at him like he'd grown a second head. Miranda? Miranda Ridley? That's the one, Dale said. You two have been doing this weird love-hate dance since college. You challenge each other. No one calls you out like she does. And you like that. She calls me greedy on the internet, Liam muttered. And yet you haven't fired her, Dale pointed out with a smirk. You know she wants her own cafe. You could make that happen. Liam fell silent, thoughts turning over like gears in his mind. 2 days later, Miranda was in the back corner of the flagship cafe, finishing a recording for her followers. Another day, another espresso, she said into her phone camera, grinning. And yes, the boss still hasn't fired me for saying his profit margins are the work of the coffee devil himself. But hey, the customers love it. She ended the video and slid her phone into her apron pocket, just in time to see Liam standing near the front door, looking uncharacteristically awkward. Oh no, she called out playfully. Did your corporate throne collapse? Or did you come down to earth to try one of our actually good muffins? Funny, Liam said as he approached, hands in his pockets. Can we talk? It's a business idea. Miranda raised a brow. Last time you had a business idea, I ended up working 6 Sundays in a row. This one's different. He gestured toward a quiet table in the corner. Curiosity piqued, she followed. Once seated, Liam leaned in, tone low and serious. I want to fund your cafe, your dream. You'd have full creative control, your own space, everything. But there's a catch. Miranda narrowed her eyes. Of course there is. What is it? I need a wife, Liam said bluntly. Temporarily. Just long enough to convince the board I'm serious about cleaning up my image. We'd go public, play the part. In return, your cafe gets the green light. Miranda blinked. You want me to fake marry you? You always insert me in your videos, he reasoned. Your followers already think we're some kind of enemies to lovers drama. Plus, what kind of boss keeps an employee who roasts him daily unless he's secretly in love with her? Miranda crossed her arms, but her lips twitched. You're insane, she said. This is wild, ridiculous. A PR marriage? You get financial freedom, Liam said softly. Your own name on the door, I get a way out of Paige Winslow's clutches. It's mutually beneficial chaos. Miranda stared at him for a long moment, then laughed. Your board will hate it. Exactly, Liam said, smiling for the first time in days. So, what do you say, Mrs. Calloway? Miranda snorted. You better throw in free pastries for life. Done. Liam arrived at the office that morning with an unshakable calmness in his stride. Dressed in a tailored navy suit and with his signature confident smirk, he gave only a brief nod to the receptionist before making his way upstairs. Today wasn't about numbers or mergers. It was about flipping the script. Victoria had arranged a lunch meeting with Paige Winslow under the guise of professional reconciliation, but everyone knew the real purpose: to pressure Liam into warming up to the marriage arrangement. What Victoria didn't know was that Liam had a surprise of his own. At exactly 12:15 p.m., the sleek private dining room of the exclusive rooftop restaurant was set. Victoria sat primly at the end of the table, her pearl necklace stiff with tension. Paige, elegant in a cream blouse and gold jewelry, was mid-conversation about their shared future when the host arrived. Mr. Calloway has arrived, he announced, stepping aside. In walked Liam, calm as ever, and beside him, Miranda. She was stunning in a fitted black dress, curls swept to one side, her confidence radiating through every step she took. She slipped her hand into the crook of Liam's arm with ease, flashing a knowing smile at Victoria and Paige. Paige's lips parted slightly in surprise. Oh, you brought a guest. Liam pulled out Miranda's chair with perfect gentlemanly charm. Yes, I thought it was time you both met Miranda Ridley, my girlfriend. Victoria's glass froze halfway to her lips. Girlfriend? Miranda gave a polite wave. Hi there. I've heard so much. Paige looked between them, blinking rapidly. Wait, Miranda Ridley? The barista who publicly insulted you on social media? Liam smiled, and somehow still kept her job. Strange, right? Miranda chuckled, playing along. Well, we've always had this fiery banter. Some people fight, some flirt. We sort of do both. Paige leaned in, skeptical. So when did this all start? Liam met Miranda's eyes with a playful grin. It's been building for years. I guess the tension, finally, boiled over. Miranda batted her lashes. What can I say? He finally figured out good coffee and good company come from the same place. Under the table, Miranda's phone was propped up discreetly, recording everything, audio and video. She'd edited enough content to know how valuable footage like this could be later, especially once the marriage became public. Victoria forced a tight smile. Well, this is certainly unexpected. Liam raised his glass. Here's to surprises. In staying ahead of expectations, Miranda clinked her glass to his, grinning. And to rewriting the rules. Victoria stormed into her office, the sound of her heels like gunshots against the marble floor. The door slammed shut behind her, rattling the glass walls. She tore off her blazer and tossed it onto the couch, fury written in every line of her face. He thinks he can play me? She hissed, yanking her phone from her desk. Fine. Let's see how he handles the pressure. Within minutes, she was dialing her most influential media contacts. Liam Calloway's judgment is spiraling, she said coolly into the receiver. He's entangled with a former employee, one with a public record of insulting his company. A stunt relationship at best. What does that say about the brand's leadership? Next, she called key investors. There's been a shift in Liam's behavior, emotional decisions, erratic partnerships. If this continues, your investment could suffer. Just thought you deserved to know. As headlines began bubbling across financial blogs and gossip sites. Coffee King spirals after romance with former barista. Paige Winslow took a different route. Seated in her family's penthouse office, she scrolled through Miranda's social media, eyes narrowing. She's too clean, Paige muttered. There has to be something. Old relationships, debts, maybe a copyright scandal. She tapped her manicured nails across the desk, then turned to her assistant. Hire a private investigator. I want everything on her. But what neither Victoria nor Paige realized was that every keystroke, every call, and every search was being quietly logged by Nathan Kim. Deep inside Calloway Coffee's IT command room, Nathan watched the activity unfold in real time. "She's starting a smear campaign," he muttered, typing furiously. "Pages on a digital hunt. But this isn't just about optics anymore, it's war." He adjusted his headphones and tapped a button, sending encrypted files to a secure folder. "Time to protect the CEO," he said, even if he doesn't know he needs it yet. The media blitz was brutal. Headlines flooded the internet. Billion-dollar CEO dating local barista? Investors question Liam Calloway's sanity. From coffee beans to queen, is Maranda Ridley just a PR stunt? Liam's new flame once called him the caffeine king of capitalist greed. On morning shows, commentators debated Liam's judgment. Finance influencers criticized his emotional recklessness. Investors flooded the company's inbox with concerns. But the smear campaign had one fatal flaw: underestimating Maranda Ridley's fanbase. Miranda's followers were fiercely loyal. Her morning videos, filled with sarcasm, authenticity, and unfiltered charm, had earned her thousands of fans over the years. They knew her humor, they knew her heart, and they didn't buy the narrative. Under the hashtag, #WeLoveMaranda, her followers flooded social media. "She's been roasting Liam for years, and he still promoted her. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Honestly, she's the only person who keeps him humble." Power couple energy. Remember when she made him wear a barista and training apron on her livestream? Iconic. In response, Maranda posted a compilation video titled "Lattes and Liam, a Love Story." It featured years of behind-the-scenes clips. Liam awkwardly trying latte art, the two of them arguing over muffin recipes, Maranda teasing him during staff meetings, and even a blurry shot of him grinning while watching her record. The internet ate it up. But it wasn't until Liam and Maranda went live that the tides fully turned. The live stream opened with Maranda in her cozy living room, curled up on the couch beside Liam, who looked equal parts nervous and amused. "Hey, coffee crew," Maranda greeted. "So, we've seen the headlines. And yes, I've called Liam a lot of things over the years. Greedy, uptight, latte challenged. Offensively bad at TikTok dances," Liam added. "But," she continued, "he's also brilliant, stubborn in the best way, and surprisingly sweet when no one's watching." Liam cleared his throat. "We weren't planning to go public like this. But since the world's already talking, we wanted to say it ourselves." He reached for her hand and smiled. "We're engaged." The chat exploded. "What? Engaged? I knew it! This is better than Netflix." Maranda held up her hand, flashing a simple gold band. "It's not a PR stunt. It's real, and if you've been following me long enough, you know it's been real for a while." The internet turned in their favor instantly. Hashtag #PowerBrewCouple was trending by sunset, and in the quiet corners of Calloway Coffee's HQ, Victoria Highgrove watched the live feed in silence, her jaw tightening as she realized they were winning. Victoria Highgrove stood at the head of the boardroom table, her expression sharp and calculated, the edge in her voice as crisp as her tailored blazer. "We're at a tipping point," she said, arms crossed, her heels clicking as she paced. The media storm surrounding Liam's entanglement with a former employee has investors on edge. Public confidence is wavering. This company needs stability, not romantic soap operas. A few board members murmured in agreement, their faces tight with concern. Victoria continued, pressing the attack. "We have a solution. Paige Winslow, poised, connected, respected in the industry. Her family's brand is spotless, and she's willing to step in, either alongside Liam or in his place, should the board deem him unfit." The doors opened with a soft click. All eyes turned as Liam strode in, his back straight and expression cool. By his side was Maranda Ridley, confidently dressed, chin lifted, with a fire in her eyes that dared anyone to challenge her presence. She wasn't the nervous barista they once dismissed. She looked every bit like a woman standing behind a CEO. "You called a meeting about me," Liam said, voice calm, "so I figured I should attend." "This isn't about you personally," Victoria said smoothly. "It's about leadership, and whether you're fit to continue in your role." "Interesting," Liam said, setting a folder on the table. Because the last quarter's performance shows growth. And public engagement is at an all-time high since our video went live. Miranda stepped forward. You're calling this a stunt, but if any of you had paid attention to the last few years, you'd see this isn't new. We've had a connection since college. It just wasn't dressed up in press releases. Board members exchanged glances as Liam added, the banter, the videos, it wasn't an act, it was always there. You just didn't notice because it didn't fit your narrative. Nathan Kim, seated quietly at the back, pressed a button on a remote. A projection appeared, a montage of old footage showing their interactions, playful teasing, shared smiles, long glances when the other wasn't looking. It was subtle, but undeniable. The room fell silent. Paige's smile faltered. Victoria's jaw tightened. One by one, the board members cast their votes. When the tally was complete, Victoria's face turned pale with fury. Liam retained his position by a narrow margin. Victoria's voice was low, but laced with venom. You've made a mistake. Liam turned to Miranda, lacing his fingers with hers. No, Victoria, for once, you underestimated the truth. Victoria slammed her office door shut, fuming. The board's vote in Liam's favor had been a public slap in the face. She barely made it to her desk before dialing Paige. We're done playing nice, she snapped, the moment Paige answered. If Liam won't step down, we'll make sure he's dragged down. Paige's voice was cool and controlled. What do you have in mind? We set him up, Victoria said. We'll leak internal documents tying him to the sourcing scandal from 2 years ago. Adjust the timelines, bury the real approvals, and make it look like he greenlit everything himself. You're talking about fraud, Paige said slowly, but not with protest. I'm talking about survival, Victoria hissed. If Liam stays in power with Miranda by his side, we lose everything. Our shares, our influence, our vision for this company. I'll have my team pull the right files, Paige replied. And I'll make a call to that finance blogger. He's been dying for something juicy. Victoria smirked. Good. By the time the dust settles, Liam will be the face of corporate corruption. What neither of them knew was that across the building, Nathan Kim sat in a secure surveillance room, eyes fixed on the audio feed, streaming through hidden software he installed weeks ago. He leaned back in his chair, recording every word, every plotted detail. His fingers danced across the keyboard, encrypting the latest file and forwarding it to his secure drive, labeled Operation Clean Roast. He adjusted his earpiece and whispered to himself, Keep talking, Victoria. You're building Liam's defense better than any lawyer ever could. With each recording, Nathan got closer to taking them both down for good. The morning started like any other, emails, coffee, meetings. But by 11 a.m., Calloway Coffee's headquarters was swarming with agents from the FDA and FTC. Suited officials walked through the lobby flashing badges, requesting access to warehouses, storage logs, and supplier agreements. Employees stared in shock, some snapping photos, others whispering nervously. Liam was in his office when his assistant burst in. Sir, the FDA and FTC are here. They say it's a surprise audit, but they came in heavy. Something's off. Liam stood, heart thudding. Get legal, and make sure compliance is looped in now. Within minutes, he was downstairs, meeting with federal agents, flipping through documents, answering rapid-fire questions about sourcing protocols, inspection logs, ingredient origins, some of which he had never personally signed off on. Do you know anything about this document? One representative asked, holding up a page marked with Liam's digital signature. Authorizing the use of a supplier that had been blacklisted. Liam studied it carefully. This isn't mine. My signature was copied and pasted. But the damage had begun. Word spread fast. By mid-afternoon, major news outlets ran stories. FDA investigating Calloway Coffee. Trouble brewing at Calloway? CEO, Liam Calloway under federal scrutiny. From lover boy to lawsuits, Liam's fall from grace. Investors panicked. Shares dipped. Several board members called, demanding answers. Liam spent the entire day defending himself, organizing files, answering emails, fielding lawyers. But as the sun began to set, the pressure finally caught up with him. He sat behind his desk, shoulders slumped, suit wrinkled, eyes hollow. A soft knock tapped at the door. It opened, and Miranda stepped inside, holding 2 coffees and a bag of cookies. She paused when she saw him, tired, worn down, completely unlike the composed CEO he usually was. "Hey," she said gently, setting the bag on his desk. "You look like you've aged 10 years. I feel like it." He leaned back, rubbing his temples. "They planted fake evidence, Miranda. The signature wasn't mine. I've never even seen that supplier's name before." Miranda sank into the chair across from him. "Victoria and Paige. It has to be them." "They're desperate," Liam said, voice low. "We outmaneuvered them at the board vote. Now they're trying to bury me legally. You think the board will turn on you? I don't know. This kind of scandal, even if I clear my name, there's a stain. Investors hate uncertainty." Miranda reached across the desk, placing her hand over his. "Then we fight," she said, "together. You're not alone in this, Liam." He looked up, eyes meeting hers. "I don't even know where to start. We already have. I had Nathan watching Victoria ever since she began pushing Paige onto you. You know I never like her." She pulled out her phone. "Nathan's been tracking everything. The calls, the documents, the fake leak to the FDA. We have digital proof, timestamps, IP addresses. We just have to let the truth brew long enough to rise to the top." Liam gave a faint smile. "I knew there was a reason I kept you around." Miranda winked. "Because I'm adorable?" "No," he said, squeezing her hand. "Because you're the smartest person I know. I am glad you talked me into hiring Nathan." "Hey, he was the best IT student in our college dorm," replied Miranda. And for the first time all day, he exhaled. Late afternoon sunlight poured into the flagship Calloway coffee shop, casting a golden glow across the marble counters and wooden tables. The smell of espresso and caramel hung heavy in the air as Miranda organized the register, humming softly to herself. The front door chimed. She looked up to see Paige Winslow striding in, dressed in a designer suit and dark sunglasses, as out of place as a diamond in a coffee grinder. Miranda straightened, already sensing trouble. "Miranda Ridley," Paige said smoothly, removing her sunglasses. "We need to talk." "I don't think we have much to say to each other," Miranda replied, not breaking her gaze. "Oh, but we do," Paige said, setting her designer handbag on the counter. She pulled out an envelope and slid it across. "That's $500,000. Walk away from Liam. Today. No drama, no more barista love story. Just you, a check, and a clean exit." Miranda raised an eyebrow, but didn't touch the envelope. "So, you're the one who called the FDA." Paige's smile didn't falter. "I'm just ensuring the company is compliant with all state and federal regulations." "Right," Miranda said dryly. "Because you're so concerned with coffee bean safety." Paige leaned in. "Liam's heart doesn't matter. This isn't about love, Miranda. It's about position, power. I need him for the takeover. You're just noise." Miranda folded her arms. "So, what's the plan then? Frame him, push him out, steal the company." "You ask too many questions," Paige said coolly. "That can be dangerous." Miranda narrowed her eyes. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm saying," Paige said, her voice like silk over steel. "Watch your back. Liam has what I want, and you're in the way." Miranda stared at her, calm and unshaken. "Well, I hear you." Paige smirked and turned on her heel, walking out the door with the grace of a woman who thought she'd won. But what she didn't know, tucked inside Miranda's apron pocket, her phone had been recording the entire conversation. Loud, clear, admissible. Miranda picked up the untouched envelope, snapped a photo of it, and slipped it behind the register. "Hope you smiled for the audio, Paige," she muttered. "You just brewed your own downfall." As dusk settled over the city, Miranda stood outside Liam's penthouse, a manila folder tucked under her arm and fire in her eyes. Her earlier text, "I have gotten everything," had been met with a reply from Nathan. "Ready, set, go." The moment Liam opened the door, wearing a hoodie and joggers and holding a box of fresh muffins, Miranda stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "I hope those are blueberry," she said, striding toward the kitchen. "Double blueberry," Liam replied with a grin. "Now tell me what you've got." They sat at the kitchen island as Miranda pulled out her phone and opened the recording she made of Paige's visit earlier that day. Liam listened intently, his expression darkening with every word. "She admitted to calling the FDA," Miranda said, flipping open the folder. And she confirmed the takeover plot. I've got the footage, the bribe, the threats, everything. Liam leaned back, stunned. You just walked her into it. I didn't have to, Miranda said with a smirk. She thought she was the smartest one in the room. Liam stood and walked to the living room, looking out at the skyline, then turned back to her. Let's put an end to this. Miranda nodded and pulled out her phone. She set it up on a tripod and hit record. Good evening, Victoria. Paige, she said, calm and clear on camera. Liam and I would love for you both to join us at the flagship store tomorrow morning. 10 a.m. sharp. Just us. No board, no media. Come ready to talk business. She ended the video, added a wink, and sent it directly to both women. While the city slept, the flagship Calloway coffee store was anything but quiet. Nathan Kim moved silently between tables, setting up hidden cameras and discreet audio devices, all synced to a secured server. A large monitor was tucked behind the counter, primed to play the recordings Miranda had gathered, along with Nathan's collection of incriminating surveillance footage from weeks of scheming. By 2 a.m., the setup was complete. Nathan locked the front door behind him and texted Liam and Miranda one word: showtime. Tomorrow, the truth would be brewed strong and served hot, with no sugarcoating. The next morning, the flagship Calloway coffee shop buzzed with the familiar morning rush, coffee grinding, steam hissing, and the comforting hum of conversations. Despite the warm atmosphere, tension hung in the air like over-roasted beans. At their favorite table near the front window, Liam and Miranda sat side by side, seemingly somber. Liam nursed a black coffee while Miranda stirred a cappuccino, her expression unreadable. Everything was in place. At exactly 10 a.m., the door opened. Paige Winslow entered first, her heels clicking sharply against the hardwood floor. Victoria Hargrove followed, her tailored navy suit crisp and her smile thin, like someone who believed they were walking into victory. Well, Victoria said coolly, eyeing the full cafe. You said just us. Didn't expect a full house. Always dizzy, Miranda said with a shrug, sipping her drink. We make a great brew. They sat down across from Liam and Miranda. For a moment, the four just stared at one another. Liam was the first to speak. So, what do we have to do to make all this go away? Miranda sighed, playing her part. I agreed to take the money. I want my own place. My reputation's already ruined. Might as well get something out of it. Victoria raised a brow. What happened to true love? I thought this was your coffee fairy tale. Miranda chuckled bitterly. Paige offered me something Liam never did. A chance to build my own name. If he really loved me, he'd have supported my dream from the start. Liam nodded grimly, playing his role with practiced conviction. I was blind. Stupid to think she cared. Guess all those public roasts were the truth after all. Paige smirked triumphantly. So, you're ready to fall in line then? That's the smartest thing you've said in weeks. Liam leaned forward, voice low. I've worked hard for 7 years. Calloway coffee is everything to me. I can't lose it. Victoria and Paige exchanged smug glances and burst into laughter. Oh, Liam, Victoria purred. We don't need you anymore. The investigation will take care of everything. You'll be forced out before the next quarter. Liam kept his expression blank. But those documents, they're forgeries. That's not my signature. Paige rolled her eyes. Of course not. My legal team did a fantastic job with the digital overlays. Victoria nodded proudly. And I gave her the confidential files. Everything she needed to destroy you. Miranda leaned in, tilting her head. So what now? Paige smirked. You get your cute little coffee shop. Liam loses his empire. And Victoria and I take what should have always been ours. Then it happened. One by one, the phones on the table buzzed. Then rang, then kept ringing. Victoria glanced at her screen. Breaking. Live feed shows Paige Winslow and Victoria Hargrove admit to corporate fraud at Calloway Coffee. Her face drained of color. Miranda set her phone down, still recording, the red live feed indicator clearly visible. You should smile more, you're trending. Victoria shot to her feet. You little. But she was cut off by the sound of the front door opening with a chime. Two uniformed officers stepped inside, followed by two suited detectives. The cafe went silent. Victoria Hargrove, Paige Winslow, the lead detective said, voice firm. You're under arrest for corporate fraud, falsifying documents, obstruction of a federal investigation, and conspiracy to commit financial crimes. Paige stood slowly, her face pale, mouth opening and closing like a goldfish. This is a mistake, she said, breathless. This wasn't supposed to happen. Victoria reached for her phone. You can't do this, I'm on the board. Not anymore, Liam said quietly, standing behind Miranda. As of 15 minutes ago, you've both been removed. Nathan had all the digital evidence cataloged. The board received it before this meeting. You've lost. The officers handcuffed them both, as shocked gasps echoed through the cafe. Cameras flashed from outside as reporters swarmed the windows. Livestreams continued capturing every moment, their stunned faces, the stunned crowd, Liam and Miranda standing tall, as the officers led Victoria and Paige out in handcuffs. Miranda looked up at Liam and grinned. Bring muffins again tomorrow? She teased. Liam let out a breath he'd been holding all morning, then smiled back. Every morning, if you want. He reached for her hand. Looks like the villains brewed their own downfall. Miranda squeezed his fingers, and the heroes served it hot. The flagship store slowly settled back into its usual rhythm after the storm of the morning. The press had dispersed. Customers returned to their cups and conversations, and the scent of espresso reclaimed the air. Liam stood behind the counter, sleeves rolled up, wiping his hands on a towel as he surveyed the space. His space. For the first time in weeks, the air didn't feel heavy with suspicion or strategy. It felt like home again. He turned to Miranda, who was gathering her things at their usual table, a half-finished cappuccino beside her. Hey, he said softly. Walking over. Thanked you. For everything. She turned toward him, ready with a playful remark. But before she could speak, he leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss to her cheek. It caught her completely off guard. She blinked, then smiled, cheeks flushed with a hint of a blush. Come over tonight? He asked, his voice low and hopeful. I thought maybe we could talk, just us. No microphones, no cameras. Maybe muffins? Miranda raised an eyebrow, teasing. Only if they're warm. That evening, just past 7, Liam opened his front door to find Miranda standing there with a box of muffins and a sly grin. I brought peace offerings, she said, stepping inside. They made their way to the couch, the city skyline twinkling behind the glass windows. The muffins sat untouched on the coffee table, as they sipped wine and let the silence hang comfortably between them. Liam finally spoke, voice quieter now. I've been thinking about everything, and I realized you've always been the best part of my life. She looked at him, curious. I want you to be my partner, he said. In the flagship shop, officially, 50-50. You've earned it. And also, he reached for her hand. I want to take you on a proper date. No fake engagements, no strategy. Just us. Miranda grinned, eyes sparkling. Took you long enough. I was an idiot, he admitted. She leaned closer, her voice playful. A cute idiot. And then, without hesitation, she closed the distance between them and kissed him. Soft, real, and full of all the things they'd left unsaid for far too long. It wasn't a stunt this time. It was the beginning. A year later, Calloway Coffee had not only bounced back, it had flourished. Under Liam and Miranda's joint leadership, the flagship shop became the heart of the brand, known as much for its signature brews as for the warmth and authenticity of the couple behind the counter. Every Saturday morning, they hosted a now iconic live feed called Brewing With Love, where they took questions, teased each other mercilessly, and talked about business, life, and coffee mishaps. The internet couldn't get enough. Fans loved their chemistry, The way Miranda rolled her eyes at Liam's terrible puns. The way Liam always slipped an extra muffin onto her plate without saying a word. They were the definition of a power couple, with froth and charm. One crisp Saturday morning, the cafe was bustling as usual. Cameras were rolling, customers were seated with lattes in hand, and the live chat on the video feed was already filled with hearts and comments. Miranda stood behind the counter, laughing as she told a story about Liam burning a batch of scones. "And then he tried to convince me they were artisan smoked," she said, eyes sparkling. The crowd burst into laughter. But then, Liam stepped forward and cleared his throat. "Actually," he said, reaching into his back pocket, "I've got something even better than scones today." Miranda looked at him, confused. "Please tell me it's not another song about espresso." Instead, Liam dropped to one knee. Gasps rippled through the room. The camera caught it all. Liam, holding a simple velvet box with a ring inside, looking up at her with eyes full of love. "Miranda Ridley," he said softly, "you've made me better, bolder, and completely addicted to you. Will you marry me?" For the first time in her life, Miranda was speechless. Her eyes brimmed with tears, her hand covered her mouth, and all she could do was nod. Yes, the room erupted in cheers. The live stream nearly crashed from the flood of reactions. A few months later, Miranda posted a video on her page titled "The Best Brew of My Life." It was a soft, sunlit montage of their private wedding ceremony. Just close friends, family, and a quiet garden. No reporters, no boardroom drama. Just love, and muffins, of course. Thank you for listening to Green Tea Tales. Help Borrow with like, comment, and subscribe.